In a quiet village on the outskirts of Yorkshire, there stood a small, unassuming butcher's shop. The sign above the door read, Hawthorne Sons, though the Sons part was always faded, as if it had been there for decades. Villagers often whispered about old Mr. Hawthorne, a gaunt man with sharp, ice-cold eyes, who always worked alone. One foggy evening, a young man named Tom wandered in, drawn by the warm glow of the shop. The smell of fresh meat was overpowering, rich, coppery, almost sweet. "Evening, sir," Tom said, trying to mask his unease. "I'll have a pound of your finest steak." Mr. Hawthorne's eyes flicked over him, lingering a moment too long. "Ah, fresh meat," he murmured, almost to himself, before slicing the steak with unnerving precision. Tom noticed the knives weren't just sharp, they seemed to glint unnaturally, reflecting more than just the shop lights. He felt a shiver run down his spine. "Do you always work alone?" Tom asked cautiously. Mr. Hawthorne smiled, a thin, hollow curve. "Oh, I have help," he said, his voice low, almost a hiss. "But they don't leave." Tom's stomach churned. Something in the air had changed. The warm, sweet smell of meat was no longer comforting. It was sickly, almost metallic. Before he could move, the door slammed shut behind him. The lights flickered. And then he saw them, pale shapes, hunched in the shadows, bodies barely human, stitched together in grotesque forms. They moved slowly, eyes glinting. Mr. Hawthorne leaned in close. "You see, lad, quality meat requires patience, and sometimes sacrifice." Tom screamed, but the fog outside swallowed his cries. By morning, the villagers would notice the sign shining a little brighter, the knives a little sharper, and another pound of finest steak neatly wrapped and displayed, waiting for the next curious soul. The village awoke to a chilling silence the next morning. The fog had thickened overnight, curling around the crooked rooftops and narrow streets. Tom's disappearance had gone unnoticed. People were used to wandering lads straying into the moors. But something in the air felt wrong. Ella, the baker's daughter, was the first to notice it. She walked past Hawthorne Sons, drawn by a strange, coppery scent that lingered like a shadow. Peering through the dusty window, she froze. The shop was empty. No butcher, no customers. Yet the knives on the wall seemed to glint as if they had caught a flicker of movement. Suddenly a whisper slithered through the shop. It was soft, almost polite, but layered with a hunger that made her skin crawl. "Ella, come closer." Her heart thudded in her chest. She spun around, but the street was deserted. The fog pressed in on her like hands, thick and suffocating. Trembling, she stepped back. But curiosity gnawed at her. Something told her the shop held secrets she needed to uncover. Inside, the room smelled of iron and decay. On the floor lay a trail of blood leading towards the back door. Ella's eyes widened. Behind the counter, she saw a faint outline of Tom, or what used to be Tom. His eyes were wide with terror, unblinking, and his skin looked stitched together, pale and raw. A low guttural laugh echoed from the shadows. Mr. Hawthorne appeared from nowhere, his thin frame looming over her. "Ah, you've noticed my helpers," he said, voice almost musical in its menace. "They make the finest cuts, don't they?" Ella wanted to run, but her legs felt frozen. The shadows seemed alive, reaching, whispering, urging her to stay, to join. "You'll stay," Hawthorne said with certainty, "just as they did. And the village will never know. Not until it's too late." The fog outside thickened further, swallowing the shop's light, hiding its secrets from the world. And somewhere in the darkness, Tom's silent scream lingered, stitched into the walls, trapped forever. The fog had swallowed the village entirely. By nightfall, even the faint glow of the lampposts seemed dim, as though the world itself was holding its breath. Ella found herself trapped in Hawthorne's shop. The door shut tight behind her, a cold draft whispering through the cracks. Her eyes darted around, landing on the grotesque, figures stitched together from missing. Villagers, their mouths frozen in silent screams, their limbs twisted unnaturally. Each one moved slightly when she looked away, a twitch here, a shuffle there. The air reeked of iron, sweat, and something far fouler she could not name. Hawthorne stepped closer, his shadow stretching unnaturally across the walls. "Fear is natural," he said softly, almost kindly. "It keeps the meat tender." Ella's stomach turned, but she forced herself to think. There had to be a way out. Her eyes fell on the knives hanging on the wall. They gleamed. Yes, but they were also sharp, deadly sharp. She had to act quickly. Suddenly the stitched figures stirred, One of them, a boy she recognized from the village, reached out with a gnarled hand. Its stitched lips whispered, "Join, join," in a voice that was both his and not his. Panic surged. Ella grabbed the nearest cleaver, feeling the cold metal bite into her palm. "Good," Hawthorne whispered, circling her like a predator. "You fight, you survive. Or at least you entertain me before you join them." Ella swung the cleaver with all her strength. The figure before her toppled, letting out a rasping, unnatural scream. She ran, dodging the others, her heart hammering. The shop seemed endless now, hallways stretching farther than physically possible. Shadows moved independently, knives floated, and the stitched villagers whispered endlessly, luring her deeper. Finally, she found herself at a door she hadn't noticed before. A narrow, rusted exit that seemed to lead outside. Hawthorne's voice thundered behind her. "No one leaves, not until the feast is ready." With a desperate push, Ella slammed the door open. Fog slammed into her face, choking her, hiding her from the horrors inside. She ran blindly into the night, the coppery scent still heavy in her nostrils, until she collapsed on the moorland, gasping for air. Behind her in the shop, the lights flickered once, twice, and then Hawthorne's shadow loomed in the window, smiling. "Run all you like," he whispered to the fog. "There's always next time." The village would sleep unaware, but Ella knew the truth. The butcher's shop was not just a place of meat. It was a trap, a womb of horrors, and the night was far from over.